Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and with all the nerfs going on in Hearthstone right now, I thought it could be kind of fun and interesting to go back in time, look throughout the history of Hearthstone, and take a look at all of the cards that were so busted, so ridiculous, they actually got nerfed more than once throughout their run in Hearthstone. And there's quite a few of them, so before we do that though, I want to take one quick word from our sponsor. Are you sick of card games kind of, gouging you, having to spend money as the game progressively gets more incredibly powerful in its cards and all of that? And we all know the challenges that come of keeping up with the card collection. Well, Fatalcore, which is happily sponsoring this video, thank you to them, are offering a different card game experience where it's not about purchasing cards. You don't purchase cards in Fatalcore. Fatalcore generates revenue through crowdfunding. Every member of the player community is rewarded when goals are met, whether they are able to contribute or to the crowdfunding or not. So what exactly is Fatalcore? Well, it's a card game and it's played with almost an entirely open hand. Board spaces have unique bonuses based on the player's chosen lead character. Turns are taken simultaneously. Each player starts the game with 80 life. Game is won by the player who has the most life at the end of 12 turns, or by the player who's able to reduce their opponent down to 0, as you can see here as I crush this helpless bot. Design makes Fatalcore rich in what they call predictive play. Each player is able to make a good, educated guess about what their opponent will do and can develop a counter strategy accordingly. Deck building utilizes a graded rarity system. Basically, a player can't outperform their opponent. They can't just throw in the most rare and powerful cards. Fatalcore currently has over 200 cards, with new releases taking place every 2 months. Underplay cards are frequently buffed, means the meta will evolve regularly, and Fatalcore would love for you to sign up on their Steam wishlist. Will be launching in a couple of months on Steam, but you can also participate at the beta test in the link below. Click that there if you want to check out Fatalcore, as well as you can get this brand new card. All you have to do is log in by April 15th and you can play with Barrens. He's a strong neutral S rank card. All you have to do is click the link below and hop right into the Fatalcore beta test. Thanks again to Fatalcore for sponsoring this video, but anyways, let's get into it. Let's take a look at the cards that were so busted they were nerfed twice. Now, I'm gonna break this down into like a couple of categories because there's some cards that were nerfed twice or changed twice, but they were during beta. They were before like the game actually officially came out. It was like through the beta process, and then they got nerfed later on again, or Hall of Fame. I'll basically treat Hall of Fame as a style of nerfing, as the card was problematic and moved to the Hall of Fame. And then of course there are cards that were just straight up nerfed multiple times. So first let's start off with the nerf / Hall of Fame / beta thing. So first we have Sylvanas Windrunner. During beta, it was actually a 5-mana 5/5 minion. With Death Rattle, you steal a random minion after it dies, right? And then once it got to the alpha stage, to the actual launch stage, we saw Sylvanas go to 6 mana, but that wasn't it. That wasn't it for Sylvanas. Sylvanas was eventually Hall of Famed. Her power level was too high, she was in too many decks, and was eventually Hall of Famed, effectively nerfing her, changing her twice. We also have Warsong Commander. Warsong has gone through one heck of a road. Originally, during the beta process, it gave all minions charge. That included like Molten Giants. You could get yourself low and play a giant and bounce it with a panda, play a giant, just ridiculous combos, and well, they felt that was too strong, so they nerfed Warsong, so it was only minions with 3 attack or less, and that stayed the test of time for quite a while until the Grim Patron era happened in Standard, and it was nerfed yet again to give all of your charge minions +1 attack. That is the most infamous nerf in Hearthstone history, legitimately changing the spirit of the card, effectively killing the card, until it was recently changed to give your other minions rush that you summon, and is now part of the core set. So multiple changes throughout beta, standard, and now the core set. Warsong's gone through one hell of a path, and we'll see, maybe there'll be more changes down the road. You never know with Warsong. Next we have Leroy Jenkins, and we all know the story about Leroy. 4-mana charge minion, basically a 4-mana fireball for every class, but you could do things like Shadow Step it, Faceless it, Power Overwhelming it, and eventually it was nerfed. It was too good a minion, and it was bumped up to 5 mana, and it stayed as a prominent aggro card in decks for years and years and years until it was eventually Hall of Famed in 2020, and well, is still 5 mana in Wild today. As Leroy, so good, so problematic that a simple nerf wasn't enough, he had to get Hall of Famed as well. Next we have Molten Giant, which had a kind of a fun little story. It started off as a 20 mana minion, and it basically, as much as your hero is damaged, it gets cheaper. So if you're at 10 health, Molten Giant is free, and this was really powerful very, very long time, like in Handlock particularly, but other implications for it, and it was bumped up to 25 mana. It was bumped up to 25 mana, it was nerfed, and that was it. Except it wasn't it. It was eventually moved to the Hall of Fame, despite the fact it wasn't really seeing much play 25 mana, but that nerf happened, except it got reverted back to 20 mana at some point in the Hall of Fame process. So this card went all over the place, but it changed multiple times, and well, still kind of problematic in Wild today with the whole Dark Glare lock and cheap Molten Giant. Just a really powerful card. Next in this category, we have Edwin Van Cleef. If you didn't know, Edwin actually used to be more busted than the 3 mana 2/2 we all know and love today. It was a 3 mana 1/1. Got Stealth. Edwin actually had Stealth. It started as a 1/1 and then gained +2/+2 for each card. So if you think Edwin was slightly insane as it is now, it was ridiculous back in the beta. They changed it. They got rid of the Stealth. They bumped it to a 2/2 where it stayed for a very, very long time until, well, recently it got changed again. Early 2021, nerfed to 4 mana, and yeah, that was basically the second changing of Edwin until it was reverted back in like a couple of months and is now no longer part of the standard set. It's part of Wild, but yes, Edwin was changed twice, and imagine him with Stealth in today's game. It would be absolutely ridiculous. So that covers all of like the busted cards that were nerfed multiple times through like nerfing instances and Hall of Faming instances. What about cards that were just flat out broken that had to be nerfed multiple times in their standard run? There's 3 of them. There are 3 cards that fall under this category. First, we have Hunter's Mark for Hunter. 0 mana spell originally, set a minion's health to 1. It was then eventually buffed or nerfed to, it was changed from 0 to 1, I believe, during the Old Gods expansion. I guess they felt Hunter was just too strong with that. And then eventually again, it was nerfed again from 1 to 2 mana, I believe, during Rostigan's Rumble. Particularly its synergy with Candle Shot was incredibly powerful, and we had Master's Call, and that Hunter deck was just really, really dominant. So they nerfed it to 2 mana, and now has been reverted back to 1 mana. With it's just gone through a heck of a cycle. Hunter's Mark was legitimately nerfed twice in the standard cycle. I don't even think Hunter's Mark was particularly OP at 1. It was really good at 0. At 1, it was just really efficient. 2, it basically never saw any play again. But yeah, Hunter's Mark has seen an interesting road throughout time. Next, of the cards so busted they got nerfed twice in standard, we have Kael'thas Sunstrider. Came out originally as a 6 mana 4/7, and your third spell costs 0, and this was just insane. This card was ridiculous, especially in Wild. You could legitimately turn 1 OTK people with like Biology Projects, Lightning Blooms into 0 mana UIs. It was a crazy. Check out Mark's video, one of the best combo videos ever of him turn 1 OTKing, and the card was just way too powerful. Both standard Wild was quickly nerfed to 7 mana, where your spells still cost 0. And again, that effect was very powerful, especially in like Token Druid, junction with like Exotic Mount Seller and expensive spells like that. So much so that Kael'thas was nerfed yet again from a 7 mana 4/7. Every third spell costs 1. And finally, the card was, I guess, balanced. Still sees play. Like in Wild, you have like the combo Malagos Druid, and it killed off its like OTK potential in Demon Hunter. There's a little bit of that with like Inner Demon, but yeah, Kael'thas just cheated ridiculous amounts of mana, and both times it cost 0, it was just way too good. And once it hit that 1 mana sweet spot, it was still a decent card, but definitely wasn't busted anymore. So lots of changes for Kael'thas, and now we get to our number 1 card that's been nerfed multiple times, and well, it just got recently reverted. That's the Caverns Below for Rogue. Originally came out during Ungoro. You had to play the same minion of the same name 4 times, and then for the rest of your game, after you play your 5 mana quest, your minions are 5/5s, and originally this was too powerful, so it was nerfed that you had to play 5 minions and then you got 5/5s. and then that was too powerful, and it was nerfed so that your minions were now 4/4. So not only did the requirement change, but the reward changed. It was such an incredibly powerful card, and they even indirectly nerfed it multiple times after this, with Giggling Inventor going from 5 mana to 7 mana, with Sonya no longer properly giving minions that it spawned, like the buff with it. Like, there's so many different changes for this card, probably the most problematic card in Hearthstone history, and recently reverted. And in Wild, not much of a juggernaut these days. It's doing okay. It's like a tier 3 at best deck, but my goodness, the Caverns Below was one of the most problematic cards ever and the most nerfed card ever. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments below which of these cards you think is the craziest. Did I miss some examples? These were the ones that I could think of through my research. Let me know if there's some I missed. I would always love to hear it. It's a fun talk to have. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.